Frank Bolden, please tell us who's speaking here this morning.
Thank you. Most people would agree that education is an essential key for success in our society. That is the only way somebody like me from a sleepy little segregated town in Southwest Georgia could be here with you today. Real education requires real educators. And it is a real pleasure for me to introduce you to one of the most outstanding educators I've had the privilege of working with at colleges from Florida to Vermont over the last 4 decades. Here in Union County, we have been blessed with an educational gem that most of us in the western part of the county know very little about. Since 1933, Union County has served the educational needs of students fortunate enough to take advantage of its offerings. For the last 10 years, Dr. Margaret McMenamin, our speaker this morning, has been the president of Union County College. She inherited a college that just before her arrival had been rated as a leader among its peers by the Middle States Accrediting Agency. Not content to rest on that pedestal, she quickly identified the strengths and opportunities for improving the college and worked tirelessly to transform UCC from a good community college to, according to the Aspen Institute for Community College Excellence, one of the top 150 best community colleges in the United States. As the vice chair of the board of trustees of UCC, I witnessed how she accomplished that incredible achievement by focusing the energy of the entire organization, the boards, the faculty, the staff, the students, everybody focused on one goal, the success of the students, one student at a time. She recruited outstanding talent into the college, equipped them to be successful, set high standards, and demanded that they reach for the stars in support of the students' quest for a top-notch education. She managed by data and a big heart. She was visionary and tough, but also fair, transparent, and courageous. In my 50-year career in the military, Wall Street, corporate America, healthcare, and education, I've had the opportunity to work with some outstanding leaders, generals, acclaimed attorneys, CEOs from Johnson & Johnson, Exxon, General Motors, Delta Airlines, Bell Labs, and so on. I can tell you that Dr. McMenamin is one of the greatest leaders with whom I have had the privilege to work. That opinion was ratified by her peers last October when the American Association of Community Colleges named her the Marie Y. Martin Community College CEO of the Year. Now, like other outstanding leaders I have known, every bit of her knowledge, energy, and passion is devoted to achieving the goal. Every experience is used as an opportunity to highlight the accomplishments of students, to introduce them to new experiences, to build their confidence in their abilities, to excite joy and limited possibilities of their creativity. I served on the board of school estimates for UCC for many years. Prior to Dr. McMenamin's arrival, that process took about 5 minutes. When she became president, that all changed because she showed up at the meeting with 30 or 40 students whom she introduced and had the students share some of their hopes and dreams with the freeholders. After the meeting, she had a pizza party with the students to discuss the lessons they had learned. She ended the meeting, the evening with the possibilities that one day the students could be sitting in the freeholders' seats. Just an example of an educator at work. If this were not a virtual meeting, there would be 10 to 20 UCC students sitting in the front row this morning, sharing their dreams with you and discerning the values of an old guard meeting. That's the way she rolls. Dr. McMenamin is a New Jersey product from down the shore, where she was an outstanding student and athlete. She earned a Bachelor of Science in Physical Therapy, cum laude, from Temple University, a Master of Science from the University of Scranton, and a doctorate in educational leadership from Lehigh University. She came to Union County College in 2010 from Brookdale Community College, where she served as Executive Vice President of Educational Services and Acting President. Prior to that, she served as a professor and Vice President of Academic and Student Affairs at Lehigh Carbon Community College. As you can imagine, she has served on and chaired the boards of some of the most important professional organizations in academia. She also serves on the boards of many important organizations here in Union County, such as Trinitas Hospital, the Union County Performing Arts Center, Union County Crime Stoppers, and the Union County Workforce Development, just to name a few. And she is most proud of the honor she received back in 2015 to serve as the Grand Marshal of the Union County St. Patrick's Day Parade. We're in for a real treat as I turn the old guard microphone over to a really outstanding educator, Dr. Margaret McMenamin, the president of Union County College.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Frank Bolden. Thank you for that incredible introduction. I appreciate it. I appreciate your leadership and thinking of me and giving me this opportunity this morning to meet with the old guard. So Paul, how am I doing here? Is it on the right screen or is it on both screens?
You're doing good.
Okay.
Perfect.
So I want to say thank you for giving me this opportunity, Frank. Thank you for this introduction. Our presentations are so much different now that we're doing them remotely. I'm not the type of person who stands still during a presentation, so I may be leaning side to side. And while I was born in New York, I grew up in New Jersey, so I talk with my hands. So I'll apologize in advance for that. We're calling this presentation The Fierce Urgency of Now, in honor of Black History Month. And we'll talk, I hope to talk about my journey at Union County College over the last 10 years. So as Frank mentioned, I arrived at Union County College in July of 2010, my first presidency, and I had decided 20 years ago that I wanted to be a college president. I arrived at Union County College, honored to be the president there. It's the oldest of New Jersey's two-year colleges, as Frank mentioned, founded in 1933, but we were ranked 19 out of 19 county colleges in terms of our graduation rates, which is the single measure that the feds use to determine the value or quality of colleges. We have 6 unions on our campus. We're in New Jersey. We have 6 unions on our campus, and our full-time faculty are led by the AAUP, the American Association of University Professors. And they generally regarded the college, the faculty did, as the Harvard on the Namahegan. We were great. I was following a very successful 20-year president when I arrived. And at my first President's Council meeting, the president of Essex County College leaned over to me and said, "Thank God for Union County College." And I turned to her and I said, "Why are you saying that?" And she said, "If not for you, we'd have the lowest graduation rates in the state of New Jersey." So that was my first month at the college, and I decided I'll be damned, I'm not going to be the president of the lowest ranked college in the state. I'm competitive, but this was our reality. And I believe in living in reality and truth. We had multiple years, decades of single-digit graduation rates. I'll tell you, just to put it in perspective, I include the New Jersey average at the time and the national average. We are open access institutions. Princeton's graduation rate is 98%. Everybody's going to graduate from Princeton, but at Union County College and other county colleges, anybody can come in. We are inclusive, we are open access. So the national average was 22%, but we were wallowing in the basement. So I initiated my students are #1 agenda at Union County College. I did everything that over my 30-year history in higher ed told me we should do. We changed the environment. We know that the environment matters for students and for anyone, frankly. So we updated our facilities. I call it furniture, facilities, and flowers. We added activities, clubs, honor societies, athletics. We beefed up our services to students. And as you can see from my bullseye, I think in terms of bullseyes, these things are progressively more important. Services, tutoring, financial aid, advising, career services, and finally, we focus like a laser beam on the instruction, what was happening in the classroom, implementing professional development to get our faculty up to date in terms of innovative pedagogy and technology in the classroom. And we had some mild successes. We identified this is a major honor for community college students. Maria Del Cid, one of our students, was named a Coca-Cola USA Today Academic All-American Gold Medalist. We felt like we were doing a good job, but the numbers didn't change at all. Marginally, from 5.9 to 7.3%. We went up to 8.8, and I was sure we were on our way. 8.6, we dropped down again in 2013, back down to 6.8. And that's when I turned to my board of trustees and I said, we've got to make major changes. I can't continue it like this. Frankly, I'll say it, and I don't know if Frank remembers it, and I understand my board chairman, Mr. Ritchell, is on the call as well. I told them to fire me at this point. I'd been here 4 or 5 years and I wasn't able to move the needle. You know, you always want to become the boss because you know if you were in charge, you could make a difference. You could make things better. But after 4.5, almost 5 years at the college, I did not dramatically move the needle. So we were still at the bottom. This is just a slide, tells you where the other community colleges in the state were. Union at the bottom, Ocean at the top, and everybody else in the middle with an average of being of 17%. So that's when I had my come to Jesus moment. Do I want to be the president of a mediocre college in terms of our student success? Or do I want to actually make radical changes that will help our students? And I decided at that time, I felt what King talked about, the fierce urgency of now. I thought about the students we were losing with those graduation rates, and we decided to make changes at the college. First thing we had to do was take an honest look at what kind of challenges were our students facing. I know you're an educated group here, and I know most of you, if not all of you, have helped your kids and your grandchildren now get through college. There's a lot of challenges for them. Understanding a college maze. Many of our students are first-generation college students. I still remember, I came from a big family. My mother graduated from college. I still remember her. She'd call it her annual nervous breakdown, filling out financial aid forms. It's challenging for people who have never gone to college to get through the maze that we create. But not just the college maze, the challenges that they face personally with work, with childcare, with transportation issues, with homelessness in some cases, and yes, with food insecurity and hunger. We also had some institutional challenges at Union County College. And you're all smart men, you know, people are resistant to change. We had institutional cultural issues that I had to address. Generally, it's easier to blame somebody else than to blame ourselves. So we did have a culture of blaming the students, lamenting, oh, they're not as good as they used to be. Oh, I wish they were as good as we were when we were kids. We also had some issues with entitlement. The way the college had been run was not a student-centered environment, and some people wanted it to stay that way. So we knew we had a lot of work to do in order to change our institutional culture and in order to help our students. So we entered into what I call phase 2, Operation Graduation. In Operation Graduation, And the only way I did this, I'll reiterate it later, is with the board's support. I quoted one of the most decorated community college presidents in the country, President Sandy Shugart, retired president of Valencia College, when he said, "Teach the students you have, not the ones you wish you had." I had a faculty that had been teaching at the college since the 60s and 70s, and many of whom like to sit around talking about how great the students used to be when, in the 60s and the 70s. Now, I'm looking at your pictures here on the Zoom, and it looks like some of you were in college in the 60s and the 70s, probably, right? You were all that serious about college? I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I think maybe students now are different than they were in the 60s and 70s, but I don't think that those of us who went to college in the 60s and 70s, are necessarily such better students than the ones now. We have to be prepared to teach the students in Union County that we have now. We can't go back to the 70s or the 60s. So with my board support, we engaged in radical change at Union County College. We recentered the institution on student success. We refocused everyone on our mission, the mission of the college. Why are we here? We're not running an employment agency. We're here to give individuals an opportunity to earn a college degree. And that's when Operation Graduation was born. We engaged in, again, fierce urgency of now. And if any of you, I know Mitch has worked in higher ed, right, Mitch? We move like a snail's pace. We like to do one thing, pilot it for a year, and then study the results of the pilot for another 2 years, and then decide to pilot something else without making any major changes. At Union County College, we implemented shotgun change because of that fierce urgency of now. Mandatory orientation, mandatory advising for all. FTFT means first-time, full-time students. Cohorted advising. Everybody in engineering gets advised together. We put them together. Don't allow late registration. We cross-trained all of our staff. Any of you went to Rutgers? Raise your hand. You've all heard of the Rutgers screw, where people don't help you. We wanted our staff, everyone on our staff, to be able to help our students. So if you get in one line, you don't have to worry about somebody saying, "You're in the wrong line, go to the other line." Everybody's trained to help our students. We were the first in New Jersey, the first community college in New Jersey to implement flat rate tuition. When you go to Rutgers, you pay for full-time tuition. You could take 12 to 18 credits at Rutgers. At any community college in the state, if you take 15 credits, you pay more than if you take 14 credits. You pay by the credit. So we implemented flat rate tuition because we know that many of our students were struggling to take more classes to graduate on time. We also did other things. Math Success Center. We know math is the #1 reason why students drop out or fail out of school. So we created a separate area for students to go to get specialized tutoring in math, engineering, and physics. And it helped decrease the stigma of going for help. We created boot camps. I hired new people who were also on board with our agenda for student success. We created rules that encouraged and forced students to take more credits. We also realized that when we break large groups of students down into smaller groups, sub-cohorts, cohorts, and sub-cohorts, we can do a better job of reaching them, of finding them, of talking to them, of connecting to them. So we would take our entire group of new students, the first-time, full-time students, and then we'd break them down into, okay, STEM majors, ESL students, students with disabilities, student athletes, American Honors, Educational Opportunity Fund, New Jersey Stars. Break each of those groups down into smaller groups, and then work with, instead of working with 10,000 students, oh my God, how am I going to get 10,000 students across the finish line? We broke them down into groups of 100 or 200 or 500. Smaller cohorts and sub-cohorts. And we saw immediate success. We had the college's first Jack Kent Cook Foundation Scholar, pays for full junior and senior year of college. Nuno graduated from John Jay, and he's now at Oxford. And we saw a dramatic increase in the number of raw graduates. When I got there, we had about 900. We got up to 1,500. And I don't have my teaching voice. I'm getting a little raw here. I'll keep drinking water. We saw immediate improvements in our graduation rates. When we implemented Operation Graduation, graduation rate was at 6.8%. That year we went to 10.2, and then immediately the next year up to 15.7. We doubled that graduation rate that quickly from Operation Graduation. We were thrilled. Record numbers of graduates, record increase in graduation rates, record high retention rates. Dramatic results for Operation Graduation. However, we didn't just pat ourselves in the back and go to the board and say, give us a raise. We peeled the onion. And when we peeled that onion, we realized that while we had overall a big increase in graduation rates, those increases were not shared across the board demographically. And most particularly, the graduation rates for our Black male students did not increase significantly at all. My vice president said to me, my vice president for academics said to me, it appears as if we're allowing our African-American male students to just wander around the curriculum. It appears as if we had more of our white students close to the finish line and we were able to help get them across, but our minority students were lagging. Now, if you had asked me 20 years ago if I'd ever be quoting George W. Bush, I would tell you, not on your life. But he's looking pretty good today, isn't he, gentlemen? What do you think? That's good, Frank. Thanks for laughing. I do. It was funnier when Trump was the president, but I'm not going to get political at all. George Bush said this in 1999, and I quote, "The soft bigotry of low expectations all of the time. Some say it's unfair to hold disadvantaged children to rigorous standards. I say it's discrimination to require anything less. The soft bigotry of low expectations." I found my advising staff saying to our students, you couldn't possibly take 15 credits. Let's have you start with 6 and then we'll see how you can do with that. Oh, a C in English is good. Let's see if you do any better next time. This is wrong. I went to my staff and I said, do you tell your own children that they should only take 12 credits when they go to Villanova? Your son down there or over there at Salve Regina, is he only taking 6 credits and you're going to put him through school for 6 years? Absolutely not. We were coaching and counseling our minority students to achieve at a lower level. So we eliminated that and identified student success as our social justice issue and began talking about the fierce urgency of now as we implemented what we call Project Achievement. Now, Project Achievement involves 4 things, and this is what the name for our Black Male Initiative. We track data, every single piece of data we can about our students. We engage in what we call in the business intrusive intervention. We don't wait for the student to come to us. We call the student up. Student doesn't go to class. We call them up and say, you weren't in class. We text them. We email them. And sometimes if they don't respond to us, we go and wait for them and meet with them. We do intrusive intervention. We recognize that some students are reluctant to ask for help. So we go to them. We are like a father. We are like an uncle. We are like a parent or a friend who cares about these students and nudges them and pushes them and asks them how they're doing and how much help do they need. We do provide financial assistance, but we also put wraparound services around them, including extracurricular activities and somebody to call if they have a problem. If I have a problem, I know who to call. Some of these kids, if they have a problem, they drop out because they don't know who to call. This program was not some little program. This was an extensive program, Project Achievement. We know everything about these kids. I want to know who their favorite baseball team is. We've tracked their performance. If you're an engineering major, you should have this course by the end of your first semester. That course, milestone courses, we track it. We make sure they're on track and we provide help if they need it. Intrusive intervention, all college services, lots of meetings, lots of engagement. We want these students to know that number one, we believe they belong here in college. And number two, we believe they can succeed in college. Sometimes just having one person believe in you makes a difference with these kids. We created a special Close the Gap fund in our foundation. We found some students, they needed one class to graduate, but this was before Pell scholarships were available in the summer. We would give them enough money to take a course during the summer. We created an emergency fund, President's Emergency Fund. That was created when we found kids eating out of the trash can at school. In Cranford, we had students eating out of trash cans. So we created an emergency fund for food, clothing, shelter, books, and miscellaneous supplies. We provide parental-like assistance to fill out financial aid forms. I don't know if any of you have filled out that FAFSA. I suspect some of you have. It's complicated. And we engage the county to provide a social worker to help with things like housing and domestic abuse. Shocking to us, we discovered that many students had never left Union County. We have students at Union County who have never been to the Statue of Liberty. We have students at Union County College who have never been to the beach, to the Jersey Shore. Believe it or not, I found it to be shocking. We had our student government president who had never been to Washington, D.C. So we initiated just day trips for these students, nothing overnight. Leave at 4 o'clock in the morning, take 2 bus loads of young men, young Black men to Washington, D.C. to see the museums, to see the landmarks, and to stop and visit an HBCU on the way. These kinds of activities helped open up students' eyes to the world beyond their own little community. I know it sounds surprising. I was shocked. We had a group of students go down to the one of the conventions in Atlantic City. I think it was the counties convention. And there was a competition. County colleges were having a singing competition down there. We had 5 students and 3 of the 5 students had never been to the beach. So the advisor asked me if they could stop at the beach in Atlantic City on their way home. And naturally I said yes. Our wraparound services, we identified certain people at the college. They had nothing to do with graduation. Director of Public Safety, one of the secretaries in the vice president's offices, the professor of computer science. These were just friendly people who were available if a kid needed help. Now, everybody at the college is supposed to help everybody else, but for some reason, our students, particularly our Black male students, needed to have somebody they could go to. So we engaged, we created these navigators or these coaches who add on responsibilities was to be available for these young men when and if they needed help. We had some success immediately. We had our second Jack Kent Cooke Foundation scholar in McDaniel Gentis. He's now a graduate of Columbia, works at Prudential in Newark, and has created his own scholarship for Union County College students. We continue to see dramatic increases in the numbers of degrees conferred here. Now, I know this looks, I think it looks fantastic, but what I see on this slide, on this chart, is that's each year we're putting out somewhere around 1,700 more college graduates onto the streets of Union County. This has got to help our community. Now, you remember where our graduation rates were back then when I got there? 5.9%, and that was our history. This is where we are now, 34.9%. That's where we got to. And you'll see where Operation Graduation began. The yellow data are in that first 5 years, first 4 or 5 years, I'm trying to figure out what do we have to do. We took the gloves off in 14. We made radical change, and you can see the dramatic improvement. Now, you remember where we were in relation to the other colleges. We were at the bottom and the average was 17. Well, I'm sure you can understand we're not the only college working on improving our graduation rates. This is where we are right now. The New Jersey average has jumped 10%, 10 percentage points from 17% average to 27% average. Union is now at 34.9%. And look at the schools that are above us. 3 of them are tiny little schools. Salem, Warren, Cumberland, tiny little schools, right? Tiny, not like our size. Ocean, comparable. We are the best of the urban in terms of our graduation rates. And we're gunning for this. This is our single focus, is improving our graduation rates. Y'all impressed with this? Just give me a head nod. I'm pretty excited about this one. I am. I can't help it. And how about those African-American males? You remember where we were down here at the bottom, 2013, 5%? Got that up to 26.3% right now. This is revolutionary. I gotta tell you, this is so unbelievable. Most people do not believe it. And every year when we submit our numbers to the feds, it gets kicked back to us because the bot at the feds says, are you sure that this is correct? This is outside the norm of what we expect. I know we got a couple raised hands, so can you guys just sit tight for 1 sec? Hang on 1 sec. I want to give you a couple other pieces of data. One of the things that we believe contributed to this improvement, because everybody, I mean, we get calls all over the country calling us, how did you do it? Especially that, how did you do that? Because people can't crack this nut. Remember I told you about flat rate tuition. We have flat rate tuition so that a kid could take 18 credits and pay the same for 12. And that's because we had students taking 12 credits. You can't graduate on time if you only take 12 credits. 12 times 4 doesn't equal 60. I don't want a student to have to choose between feeding their child and taking another course. So now you're a full-time student. You could take up to 18 credits if you are that ambitious, and it's reflected. You can see, and I push. I still have advisors engaging in the soft bigotry of low expectations. So these are the data that I judge the advisors on. Are you advising students into 15 credits? And when I find a student only taking 12, I go back to the advisors and say, why? And I ask them, you tell your kid at college that they only have to take 12 credits? And they all say no. He also did it with scholarships and grants. We help our students. Hey, I've got nieces and nephews. I have no children. I have nieces and nephews. I send checks. I give money. Sometimes I get a thank you call, sometimes not. Union County College Foundation. These students are serious students who are incredibly grateful for the help we give them. So I have no hesitation. We've dramatically increased the scholarships and grants that we've offered to our students. And these are just some of our key performance indicators that we use. We use data a lot. I want to help our students. I'm tired of us sitting back and helping each other and not focusing on our mission. So that's what we do at Union County College. We are trying to change the world through student success. And as Frank mentioned, in 2019, all of this work and all of this improvement, dramatic, unbelievable improvement, was rewarded by the Aspen Institute for Community College Excellence when we were named a 2019 Aspen Top 150. So I want to pause for 1 second before I get to the next piece and answer Bill's question first and then Mitch. I know I have Bill and Mitch, so I don't know how this works. Do the questions come through? Okay,
Listen,
good.
this is Bill. I'll wait till the end. I just wanted to get at the top of the queue. So go on.
Okay,
I'm
cool.
loving this.
Cool. Mitch, do you have something for me?
We'll
Ditto
give you
here.
time.
I'll wait to the end. We have a protocol, and we kind of raise our hands, and the first guy raising the hands gets the first time to
Good.
ask the question. So we all ask anyway. Go ahead.
Okay, so here we are, 2019. It is stunning, the improvements we've made. Dramatic, it's wonderful. I mean, I could cry, I'm so happy. And we get the Aspen nomination and we enter our next phase. I call it institutional renewal. Now, 10 years ago when I became your president, and I am your president, the president of your community college, I attended the Harvard New Presidents Institute. And there, one of the things I remember from that week-long session was you shouldn't stay president at the same institution for more than 10 years. And if you do, you should turn it upside down in the 10th year so you don't get complacent and start patting yourself on the back and maybe getting a little lazy. So I entered 2020 with that on my mind. This is my 10th year. Maybe I should leave, or what should I do to turn the place upside down? And then COVID came and did all my work for me and turned us upside down. COVID has turned Union County College and all higher education upside down. We have an economic crisis. We have a social justice crisis. We have an environmental crisis, and it's not my big deal, but I'm aware of it. And we have a government in crisis. So 2020, I don't feel like I have to leave anymore to turn the place upside down. My question now, where I am, how do we fulfill our mission and serve our precious students? And I call them precious, and I mean it, in this COVID-infected, socially distanced, and virtual world. Our students. I'm not saying every college student in the country, and may not be your son or your daughter at Harvard or Stanford or Notre Dame, wherever they are, but our students at Union County College, they need us. They need our colleges, and they need our physical campuses. So our question is, can we hold their hands effectively while socially distancing? Can we convince them that they belong in college virtually? Can we get them to feel connected to each other and to their professors remotely? How do we adjust what we do in terms of services and support? And this requires us to reimagine what higher ed should look like in this new world. And yeah, I tell the board, our single goal is to get the students across the finish line and graduate them. But my dirty little secret, my single goal is to save their lives, especially the young students who can't put things in perspective. I believe that what we're doing is saving their lives and giving them hope. And I know it sounds corny. So my questions, how do we keep our successes going? We cracked this nut in 2014, and we did something that nobody in the country said was possible and that many of our own people say couldn't happen. We did it. How do we keep it rolling despite the disruption from COVID? How are we going to adapt to this new world? Community college enrollments, big topic. Wall Street Journal, lots of national articles about how they dropped much more than the other sectors in higher ed. That's because we serve the most compromised and the most vulnerable students. How do we reach them and get them back in? And what parts of what we're doing in this COVID work world are we going to hang on to long after COVID's a bad memory? Right now, as we are in the middle of trying to operate during COVID, this is what I believe we need to have very basically, very fundamentally. Our students need in-person tutoring. We're offering that, socially distanced, clean, masked, shielded, but we're giving them in-person tutoring. Our students need in-person student services. Even during COVID, 59% of our students still accessed face-to-face services. They need some hand-holding. Our students need an in-person study hall as an oasis or a destination. You have comfortable homes. I see the environments in which you're operating right now. Many of our students are in 1 and 2 bedroom apartments where everybody in the family is sharing one device or a low-speed connection, or there is no private room for which in which they can work. So we want to provide them with a study hall, and we want to help get these compromised students and their families through the crisis. Black History Month, social justice. People ask me all summer, all fall, well, what are you doing, to deal with racism? Or how are you addressing social justice? Or are you out there protesting? And I got a little protest in me, but I'm not going out there protesting during COVID. I'll tell you that right now. But when I reflected, and I did a lot of personal reflection, and so have my staff and the members of the college community, we fall back on who we are and what we do. Community colleges are known as democracies colleges. And what do? We help more students of color, more people of color earn a college degree. That's how you change the world. We help more leaders of color move into leadership roles. And we're working with our criminal justice faculty and specialists to modernize our criminal justice curriculum through the lens of social justice. Our goal is to create a community college social justice curriculum that will be a model for national replication. If you meet a cop in Union County, odds are that cop came to Union County College. We know we can influence our community. This is our mission. We are transforming our community one student at a time. And I'd like to invite all 100+ members of the old guard who are here with us today to join us. By the grace of God and with the leadership and support of our boards of trustees and governors, I've been able to do this work. I get asked by individuals, why aren't other community colleges seeing the improvements that you have seen? And I will tell you that it's because I am supported by a courageous and visionary board of trustees and board of governors led by Mr. Vic Ritchell and retired Vice Chairman Frank Bolden. I could not do what I do. We would not make these improvements if the board was not 100% behind us, and they are. So I invite you to join us. We have a foundation. We're trying to accelerate the pace of student success at Union County College. On the call today, Mr. Bolden, Mr. Ritchell. I also saw Alan Havison on the call today, member of your old guard. Alan Havison was a member of our foundation board and a tremendous supporter of the college. We have funds for just about everything. Last year, we sent a summit kid to a virtual NASA competition. It got canceled. They were supposed to go to Houston to NASA to be in a competition, but they designed some drill bit. They designed and built the drill bit that is in a competition with other college students to be used on the moon. We have funds for everything. So I invite you, if you want to help us, join the foundation board, promote us, support us, say something good about us, because these kids are the future of our community, our state, and our nation. So that's why I'm here. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk with you guys, to meet you. I never heard of the group before, but I know it must be a wonderful organization. I've gotten a lot of help from Paul, especially, and Mitch. And Frank, I want to thank you for nominating me to do this presentation today. So let me go to questions. And I guess Bill's number one.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Margaret. A lovely talk. You're a graduate of Lehigh, so am I. My question is there a role for people like me, retired, had a 50-year career in business? Is there a role for me in somehow mentoring some of your students?
It's a great question, and we get it often. We don't have a formal mentoring program. We do not. And part of it, I don't know if you have any lawyers on the call, but some of it is liability issues. We have had, we bring people in more controlled environments to talk to the students, but we don't have the one-on-one mentoring set up. I believe there was an issue before I arrived just about a challenge that came up, but it's a great question. But I know we have some engineers and things, and we have a huge engineering program. So we do tap specialists to talk to students, come in and talk to them for different activities. That's the way we do it in more of a group setting, but not one-on-one.
Okay. It kind of blows off the idea, but you're not the first person to, I raised this issue with my alma mater, and I got sort of the same reply. It seems to me it's too bad that you could certify people, interview people, make sure that they're not going to abuse people or misuse people, because I think mentoring in my own life has been very important. And I'd like to do it and share that with others.
Agreed. And it's a nut we have to crack. Great question. Mitch.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Margaret. First of all, what a great way to start African American History Month. And this is sort of a history, but it's also aimed at the future. We did have 110 attendees, so this was a great attendance, a lot of interest. Glad your two colleagues were visitors also today. First of all, you got yourself a 24-hour job, so I appreciate that, because I mean, many of us had long hour jobs, but you got a hell of a job. Anyway, my question is, I checked the Bible, and the 10 Commandments does not say that it's required that you have a 2-year duration and 60 credits in order to earn an associate's degree. We have a paradigm in education, X number of things you got to do to get a associate's, a bachelor's, a master's, a doctorate. And it's all very rigorous, and it's steeped in 400 or 500 years of history. But looking to the future, particularly in our post-COVID distance learning world, how do you see education transforming in a post-COVID world, beyond the obvious of more and more distance Zoom calls, if you will?
Well, I'll tell you what, number one, the students don't like the Zoom. Number one, the faculty love it. The faculty love it, not having to go in, but the students generally want to go in. So we will preserve, I believe, some of this synchronous remote type of instruction will probably live on. Right now we're offering three types of instruction: full face-to-face, asynchronous online, and synchronous remote live. The synchronous remote live is what has emerged out of COVID. I think some of that will be retained, but I believe our students want to come in and interact with each other. Higher ed's evolved since the 60s and the 70s, and much of that evolution has come from technology. It used to be we went to the teacher, to the professor, to the classroom to be taught, to get exposed to that information. These days, the information is all out there, and what the class is about is the interaction between and among students and the instructor about that information that is out there. So I think that the physical spaces will change. I think that there will be more open spaces rather than closed spaces. I think you will see more colleges investing less in classrooms and more in specialized spaces, because we found what students absolutely want to come in for they will come in for, but they just want to do it in a different kind of environment. So I believe you will have more specialized spaces to draw people in for activities, and and some changes in that remote live. The remote live is not fully developed yet. So we're still waiting to see, Mitch, which direction that's going to go in. Some of it will be saved, but I do not believe that'll stay forever. The students don't like it. And we have surveyed students, and we've been a part of multi-college surveys. The faculty tend to like the remote live. The students tend not to like it. Great question. Paul.
Ron Hoke,
Thank you very much for a very upbeat story, a story of success. This is something that we don't hear a whole lot nowadays. We hear a lot about failures, but it's good to hear once in a while about something that was very successful and resulted in unexpected success. So thank you very much for that. I have one question and a follow-up. Do you track the number of your incoming freshmen who eventually get a degree from a four-year college? And do you make use of these people by allowing them to come back and encouraging your incoming freshmen coming into a two-year college so that they have as their goal to continue into college as long as they can and go as far in their education as they possibly can?
Okay, we do not track every single student through their four-year college career. We do not. We have access to something called the National Student Clearinghouse. So we are able to determine how many students from a graduating class, a particular class, enroll in a four-year college. But then that course is, no, we do not follow that course, how long it takes them to get through that. We do bring back some of our graduates through a couple different programs. One, we have a paraprofessional program in our tutoring center. So that's where many of our students who are graduates come back and do tutoring as a paraprofessional in the tutoring center. We also have alumni ambassadors in Project Achievement and in our Educational Opportunity Fund program, where we bring them back in to interact with students. So that's how we bring our graduates back in tutoring, in Project Achievement as alumni ambassador, and in EOF as an alumni ambassador. And it helps. And frankly, what's been recently over the last couple of years, we've had some of our graduates join our foundation board. And that's helped a little bit because then it role models to our current students. When you graduate, give back to the college, give back to a future student and allowing them to earn a scholarship that perhaps you would fund. So that's how we've been targeting our alumni, Mr. Hoke.
Thank you.
Margaret, can I ask a quick question? Could you define for us remote synchronous and remote asynchronous?
Okay, so y'all know what face-to-face is. That's what we've always done. The new thing that emerged from COVID is somebody will get on. We use WebEx at Union County College, but due to the emergent circumstances with COVID, we said any platform you want. Students, faculty are using Zoom, WebEx, GoToMeeting. In some cases, they're using something called Big Blue Button, but it is a video conferencing platform like this. Any one that they want to right now. I'm going to eventually tighten that up. But any video conferencing platform, if your class is from, like today, we are closed because of snow. We are remote services only, remote instruction only. So if you have an 8 o'clock, 8 to 9:30 English class today, you turn on the computer, click on the Zoom, go to the class, and the teacher be standing here like this doing the English class, and everybody is there from 8 to 9:30. That is the synchronous remote live. The more well-developed distance education program is the online course, which is asynchronous. That is, I have a course that I have fully developed on a learning management system platform like Blackboard or WebCT or Canvas. We use Canvas at Union County College as our learning management system. And that is, I put my course up today, the whole course, all 3 credits of my English class, and you can access it any time of day. You can work days and do your English study at night. Send me an email, ask me questions via email, post questions on the learning management system, but that's all asynchronous. You never have to see the teacher never has to see you. So those are those 2 distance ed
Good.
formats.
Thank you.
Roger Burns?
Margaret, quick question that I probably should know the answer to. I'm aware that Ocean County College, Kane actually has a building right on the campus where students can go two years to Ocean and then go across the lawn, and the credits are transferable. Does Union County have something like that with a college where automatically your credits are accepted?
Oh, well, we have that. We have that with, actually, a law was passed in about 2010 called the Lampett Law, the Lampett Bill. Pamela Lampett, I think she's a Camden County legislator, I'm not sure, but her name was on the bill that requires the 4-year publics to accept community college transfers, graduates who transfer as juniors with full junior status. So that was legislated. If you look at this slide, and I brought it back up, you see where Ocean is with their graduation rates over there, 38%. One of the reasons we believe, and Ocean does too, that their graduation rate is that high is because of the presence of Kane on their campus. Students see it's just easier. That's the next step. It's easier to go. So they just finish and keep walking. So we have that legislatively. We do not have another college on our campus currently. Obviously, that's because of the proximity of Kane to our campuses.
Yes.
And in Ocean County, I don't know if you've been down there recently, but there's not much going on down in Ocean County. The only 4-year college in Ocean County is Georgian Court, which is very expensive. So Ocean was ripe to be to take advantage of this. We have a building in Scotch Plains, and we intend to bring St. Peter's, Kane, and possibly another school. I don't want to mention names because I'm pressuring my people. I want at least 3, maybe a 4th 4-year partner at the Scotch Plains building. And those are just degree completion programs, because obviously, and you guys know it, most of you have bachelor's degree or more. The associate degree is the first step. We want them to have that step in the journey, but we want to try to push them along into a good baccalaureate program.
Thank you.
Ed Atkin? Ed?
Ed, you have to unmute.
All right. I think I'm unmuted. I'd like to congratulate you, Margaret McMenamin, for increasing the graduation rate. Have you done my mother taught in Elizabeth for 20 years. Have you done any tracking by towns where the dropout rates, or, like the graduation rate for each town?
Oh yeah, we do that a lot.
Yeah, my mother has kids in Elizabeth that were past, being absent 50 times, not having teachers in math for 2 years, ending up in college ill-prepared, and you give more remedial classes. Have you cut back on remediation classes?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We've cut dramatically back on remediation. I mean, this is a tight presentation, but I have a different presentation typically to educators where I talk about remedial classes and things like that. But yes, we have had a dramatic decrease in remediation. We've done a lot of boot camps for remediation. We have looked at these things broken down by town and by high school, but then I don't present those because I don't want to go out there and start pointing fingers and indicting people. I'm not going to say, oh, this school's terrible or that one's bad. But you can imagine some of the better school districts and some of the not so good school districts. We see challenges, but do you say it's a school district? Do you say it's socioeconomic status? I'm not in the blame game. I'm in the let's solve the problem game. So, but we are doing specialized outreach in some of the poorer communities, in some of those poorer school districts to try to, I just accept reality. Let's get your kids better prepared. If they're going to come to me, if I know 35% of the graduates of Elizabeth High School are going to come to Union County College, I have an investment in helping those graduates even before they come to the college, get ready for college. And that's what we're doing with boot camps and bridge programs for high school students.
Yeah, I agree. You can get a good education if you're in the right classes at Union College. I mean, you do give, people do go on to four-year colleges too. I mean, we've had.
Last year, we had graduates go to Princeton, Dartmouth, and Georgetown. Now, that's the first time we've had somebody get into Princeton. The SGA president went to Princeton, but on a very regular basis, we have graduates going to Columbia and Cornell, very regular. So we have great academic programs, and we have a terrific honors program, terrific. I'd love to come back and talk to you guys about the honors program because they are just off the charts. But more questions, tell me more. I don't want to brag too much about them.
Dick Aiken?
Wonderful talk, Margaret. Congratulations on this success. You've told us about how well you're doing. In fact, I live in Morris County, and I see you're right up here with Morris County with an entirely different kind of demographics. But the question I have is, on the resource side, what resources are required to do this? Do you need more floor space? Do you need more people? Do you need more hours per person, per employee? Could you comment on resources?
Good. Sure. First of all, every president who comes, everybody is going to come and say, oh, yeah, if only we had more money, we could do more. It's a bunch of baloney. We waste money. What we did, and this is again with the support of the board, only way I was able to do it, and I can't, and I'm not sucking up to the board members. I'm telling you how it happens. We defunded things that had nothing to do with student success. We have money. And colleges have money. And I don't want you to think, we should cut college funding, but the amount of waste is outrageous. It's outrageous. And we stopped it. I came from my parents, both Depression era people. We were taught never to waste anything. I'm extremely frugal. So yes, there are resources, but instead of having a program for students that hands out tickets to movies and takes them to a Broadway show, I want that program linked to getting students to graduate, period. If whatever it is, it's got to result in improved graduation rates. And when I came to the college, and at most colleges, and I'm sure up there at Morris with all those rich people up in Morris County, they're spending money on things that have zero impact on getting students across the finish line. And that's where I always say, well, why are we doing that? And eventually it comes to a story about, I'm going to pick on you, Dick. I'm going to say, oh, Dick's been here for 40 years, and that's a real important program to him.
It's always been done.
And my thing is, I'm bully for Vic. To Dick, give him a medal. Okay, let's buy him a watch, but we're not funding that program anymore. It has zero to do with getting students across the finish line. And I have said on more than one occasion at Union, and I know this doesn't sound good, but you can imagine how high my frustration is when I've said it. I'm not running an employment agency here. Your work has got to be linked to our mission. And that's what we have to do more of. So what do I need more of? I need good people who are hardworking, who are committed, focused like a laser beam on these students and helping them. Now that's almost like an innate commitment. I don't know what it is. I'm not saying it's a religion or anything, but you have to be committed to serve. We need more of those. We need more people who are committed to what we're doing. I survive on two things: board support and political support. We do live in a political world. We do. First politician I met when I came to Union was Senator Tom Kaine. He came to me and said, I'll do anything I can to help you. He's been incredibly helpful. But I will tell you that support has been bipartisan. Democrat, Republican, people are on board. Now, they're not on board as much as I'd like them to. A lot of it's just lip service. But bottom line is they've been helping us. I need board support. I need political support. And I need people who are committed to doing what we're doing. Because frankly, nobody cares about these people, these students. People don't care. We care. I care. And we've got a team of people who care. And I'm hoping that I can get 110 old guard men to care and to help back us. So anybody says, yeah, I'm tired of funding Union County College. Say, no, you have no idea what they're doing there. These are the kids that they're educating are the kids nobody else cares about. And these are the kids who are going to be taking care of us and our children and our grandchildren when we get older. They're the nurses, the cops, the engineers, the firefighters, the teachers, the accountants. These are the Americans who are going to be leading us in the future. And we need more people like you who want to get behind us and help what we're doing. So I'm going to get off my soapbox, Dick. Thank you for asking that question. Turn it back over to Paul. Any other questions?
Jim Landwehr?
Hi, thanks. I enjoyed your talk very much and its impressive improvements. I just question is this talk focused entirely on the graduation rate improvements. And I'd just like to relate, I think there's more value to the program and the opportunities it provides than that. And so I just wanted to relate a story from my life. About maybe 25 years ago, one of my kids went off to a four-year college. Various problems didn't work out right the first year. She came back, working part-time. I encouraged her to take some courses at Union County College so that she could keep her hand in the academic experience and discipline, et cetera, figuring that at some point she would not want to keep working at that job and go back to another school, which is in fact what happened. So she took several courses at UCC. I thought at the time they seemed like perfectly good, reasonable courses. She would count as a failure in your statistics because she didn't graduate with a 2-year degree from UCC, excuse me, but she did transfer to a 4-year college and ultimately graduated from college and has been a success, et cetera, et cetera. So the question is, do you have any way of measuring the value? I always had good experience, good thoughts about UCC, even though, and I would be very surprised if they had tracked her performance after she stopped taking those classes. So I just wondered if you had any comments on this sort of broader perspectives of the value of UCC.
She would not be counted as a failure in our statistics. The graduation rates come from IPEDS, post-secondary educational system, whatever. Your daughter was a transfer in. Those data are about first-time, full-time students. So no, she wouldn't be counted as a failure because she transferred in from another school. We use satisfaction surveys to judge general student satisfaction with the programs that we offer. So we do not track those. We do not track in terms of graduation rates, students who transfer in from another school and then transfer out after graduation. If she had graduated, we'd count her in those raw numbers. So we're aware that we're not, if you look at Princeton, everybody who starts at Princeton, 99% of them start as freshmen. They don't have part-time students. It's all the same. They're homogenous in that way. At Union, we have first-time, full-time students. We have part-time students. We have transfers in. So those are 3 different categories, and we track them. The transfers in, we would track her by student satisfaction surveys. That's how we would say, did you meet your goal or did you achieve your goal is the question in the satisfaction survey. So we're aware it's diverse, it's different. We have people like your daughter And then we have those 18-year-olds just coming in for the first time. And in some cases, we have 50-year-olds coming in. They have, they never finished their degree, and they're coming in now to finish the degree after 20 years away. So a variety of different cohorts.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Dr. McMenamin, it's 11:30 now. Are you able to stay with us for a little while longer?
Sure, I can stay. I have another one at 12 noon, so I'm with you.
Okay, so Ken Lindhorst? Ken, you're unmuted.
There it goes. Thank you. What an impressive presentation. I guess that was my primary comment. But in terms of things to do with your university college, I don't know how many times I've driven by it. Literally hundreds, probably. Never thought a thing about it. It was just, I saw the baseball diamond and I see him practice, and that's it. You are a tremendous resource. You say you got something at 12, I don't know, but the more you do this, the more you will get support for people who want to help.
Good.
Going back to Bill's question about mentoring, I don't know what the problem is. It may be insurance, it may be legal, but again, you found ways to get around all the other problems. It seems to me like that, as well as other opportunities that people on this call could provide to you, make it easy for us to figure out how to do it. I mean, I think most of us in Old Guard support education, believe in it, and are willing to help people.
Good.
You've broken down all kinds of other barriers. Make it easy for us to figure out how to do it and get out there and promote, because it's impressive, but not many people in Union County know about it. So
Yeah.
I'll leave it with that.
All right, I agree with you, and it's something I'd like to. I in a smaller mom and pop organization, I know it'd be easier. We've tried, and I've been smacked down, frankly, from a legal and an insurance perspective, but I will pursue it again. I tell you, we have brought an outside group in as a group to deal with to help our students. And Frank may have heard about it, but the Omega Psi Phi fraternity is a national Black fraternity, and there is a branch, a chapter in Plainfield. So we have had, not individuals one-on-one with young men, but we've had the Omega men as a group come in and talk to our Black males, mentor them. And I've had groups of police officers do the same. So it's possible if we had a cohort of Old Guard engineers come in and meet with our engineers, or a cohort of Old Guard accountants come in and meet with the, I'm always telling kids, if any of you are accounting, I say, you're going to work forever. You got a job forever. So talk to the students. They all don't relate to me, but they may relate to some of you. Sorry about that. I got a dog, but I'll work on, you're right. We've conquered all those other obstacles. We should be able to conquer this one. So Ken, thank you for challenging me, and I'll work on it.
Okay, I've taught university level and I've mentored people, and I believe personal interaction, whether it's in a group with individuals or whatever, it's useful.
I agree.
It really
And
is.
these kids need somebody. You know how you have a guy, I have a guy I can call, I got a problem, my door is coming off the hinges, I know I could call a guy who's going to take care of it. I have a problem with this politically, I have a guy I can call. These kids don't have a guy they can call. That's what mentors could be to them. Something, I'm thinking about giving up. I did X, Y, Z. So I'm with you. I understand, and I'll work on it.
Larry Cunningham?
Yeah, hi, Margaret. Very interesting. Now, I'm not from New Jersey, although I've been living here now for 35 years. But as a child, I was born and raised in the Midwest, and the schools were much different there than they are here in terms of size and things like that. One of the first observation I made was when I first moved out here, Union County high schools were part of a regional high school district, so that there were 4 high schools that I remember that were in that system, including Governor Livingston here in Berkeley Heights. but they all had same money. They had the same ratio of students to teachers. Everything about the school was exactly the same amongst the four schools, except for one thing. The SAT score was, there's a 30% difference between one of the schools versus GL. Now, how do you explain that? It's because, the way I concluded, and I think the way I read it from a lot of different articles, is that the parents in different communities put more of an emphasis on education than other communities. And so, I wonder whether you need to have some kind of a way of reaching, as you were saying, back into the high schools to start getting kids on board back then. Because the other thing, I guess I also had the other observation is our church prior to the pandemic was working with a soup kitchen on the border of Irvington and Newark. And I would say 80% of the people there were Black, 15% were Hispanic, and 5% were, all other. And when you looked at them coming in, it's like you say to yourself, my God, how can they ever escape out of that neighborhood? It's like, so I don't know whether it's mentoring, I don't know whether it's reaching down to the high school, but these kids need to have, for them to have the right opportunity, they've got to have people that can guide them. I mean, you look at your own kids or my own kids, part of the reason they are where they are is because their mother instilled on them that, yes, we're going to study, and yes, we're going to take these courses, and yes, we're not going to listen to the counselor. We're going to have them, push them into advanced placement and so on and so forth. So I guess my question is, long story is, if it's not mentoring, is there a way for you to reach down and start getting these people on board in high school or trying to point them in the right direction?
We just start, well, we've done some dabbling in something that's called dual enrollment. That's where we go to the high school and we do college level classes in the high school. The state has got a new push to expand dual enrollment. It's not a lot up here, but there is some in Union County. So we are doing that, but we're doing two forms of dual enrollment. One form is catch up, to help the students catch up. So we'll test them to see where are they in terms of their college level skills, and then do dual enrollment or boot camp them first, but do dual enrollment to help get those remedial things out of the way so they can hit the ground running when they get to college. Second type of dual enrollment is get ahead. That's for high achieving students who want to take, I don't know, calc or Arabic or whatever, organic or whatever they want, they can do it that way. So we're doing dual enrollment in the high schools. We are doing that. We're doing more of it. And sometimes they want us and sometimes they don't want us, so that we're actually doing some boot camping in the community organizations like the Boys and Girls Clubs. We're trying to get into them. If I can't get into the high school in one town, and I'm not mentioning any towns, then we'll go into the urban league programs or in the Boys and Girls Club programs and try to run a mini math boot camp there to test them and boot camp them and then retest them to see if we can get them ready. We're doing more and more of that pre-college activity to get them ready.
Do you do that during the summer and do you do that?
Oh yeah, anytime.
By scholarship, so it's not.
No, anytime, and it's not. I mean, we have it funded. It's not a problem. I don't charge. We never charge for that. I mean, all I had to do about 5 years ago, we've been doing it about 5 years. I went to the Union County Board of Chosen Freeholders and I said, give me an extra $100,000 to run boot camps. And explained it to them. And this one thing, I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican. All I care about is if they fund the things that work. And they did. They ponied up immediately, because my people, or some of the people who are maybe dragging their feet, who's going to pay for it? Nobody's going to do it. I said, just do it. Do it. These are our kids. They're coming to us. Just do it. We'll figure out how to pay for it later. This is why I can run an art show. I love art. Please don't take this incorrectly. We can run the art show for the egotistical people in the community who think they're artists. I paint as well, so that's me too. And spend money on that. But I can't spend money boot camping high school kids, get them ready for math. It's ridiculous. Spend the money on the things that actually impact student success. I mean, I like the art show for the ladies in the community, but for goodness sake, we're here to help these kids do well in school. So that's why we have the money and we funded it. We can take care of that. Any place we can, we want to get students ready. And some people would say, oh, but they're all not coming to Union County College. Why would we help that kid? Doesn't matter. Our goal is to change this community. One state goal. I'm going to throw one more piece of data out there for you, Paul. Hang on. National goal is to get 65% of our adult population in America with a post-secondary credential. That's a national goal. Obama launched it in 08. Trump agreed with it. I'm sure Biden's going to be on board with it. Christie agreed with it. I'm sure Murphy would say, oh, yeah, we're doing that too. It's not political. At Union County, we're at about 41 or 42% of the adult population in Union County has a college degree. That's lower than the state average. I can't remember the state average, but fundamentally, that's how we make our community, our greater Union County community, a better community and a safer community, is by helping get more of these young people a college degree and a path to economic mobility. So I don't care if they come to Union or they don't come to Union. I'm trying to get them to go to college and earn a degree. Paul.
That's wonderful. Your passion is just so infectious. It's fabulous. A quick addition to this last point. We're talking about preparing high school kids to be more successful in college. And it so happens that 2 weeks from now, we're going to have another program that's Maggie Momber, who will be talking about the Student Partner Alliance. Now, I don't know if you've ever run into Maggie, but the two Margarets need to meet each other, because she's running a program that is doing exactly this kind of thing we're talking about for high school kids in our area, and lining up mentors that work with them for the long term. Good. So you two are, you got to meet. You're in sync.
Good. Well,
we'll find out in 2 weeks how many of their students end up at Union County County. Maybe we'll increase that number. Wonderful. That's point, and you should come to that talk too. That'd be great. Point number 2 is you were talking, Ken Lindhorst was just acknowledging you for the tremendous value you're bringing to Union County, which is fabulous. And Dick Aiken was talking to you about resources, and I wanted to echo a bit of a conversation that you and I had the other day. I have the advantage of being able to meet our speakers ahead of time and have more conversation. But I made the point that well, first of all, about 3/4 of our members live in Union County, okay? And traditionally, the communities like Summit, where I live, and Berkeley Heights and New Providence are constantly grumbling about how high their county taxes are, the Union County taxes are, and it all seems to be money that's just disappearing and not being spent for any good cause. I think you have demonstrated today that at least a considerable chunk of our Union County taxes are being really, really well spent, and we're getting great value from it. So I thank you.
You're welcome. And I am frugal. And hey, you want to do something? Write a letter to the Union County Board of now their county commissioners and tell them you support the college. They'll be shocked. They'll be shocked. And let me tell you, I do whatever it takes, so long as it's not illegal, immoral, or unethical, to help the college. That's why I'm here. I want to help these students. They've got to me. I see how hardworking they are. They're the kind of people you would love them. You would love them. These kids value higher education. These aren't the kids cutting class like we were. I was cutting class. They're not that type. They call me, they email me if the teacher doesn't show up. I mean, they're serious about it. So please join us. And I know Tom's got a question. I just got one more.
Okay, Tom. You have to unmute. Tom, you have to unmute.
I'm here. What do you view as the maximum achievable, realistically achievable graduation rate for your students?
That's a great question. I said when we started this journey, initially I said double the 5.9 to 11.8. So obviously that was under goal. 50% is the number that I've given the staff. 50%. There are some community colleges, small, that have graduation rates above 50%. There are not many of them, but there are a couple. They tend to be very small and or in demographic areas where I'm going to say wealthy communities. There are very few that have a graduation rate of over 50%. So I think 50%, given the struggles that our students have, is about as far as I think we could go. But I have never said that to anyone. So if we get to 50, all bets are off. I'm shooting for 100 at that point. I don't want anybody to say, but you told those men up in Summit we couldn't do any better. I think 50 would be extraordinary. Frankly, 34.9 is pretty amazing.
But
Mitch,
even Princeton only got to 98, right?
Yes, that's right.
okay,
So-
Mitch,
Let's close out with Margaret before I make a couple of remarks before we go into the next meeting. So Frank, do you want to close out with Margaret?
My
He may-
friend.
Frank, he may not know the whole drill, but Frank, here, he has to unmute. He's in that. Oh, there you go, Frank. Oh, you're muted, Frank. Gotta unmute. There you go.
Dr. McMenamin, thank you for a wonderful presentation. It's good to see you. It's good to know that you haven't lost any of the fire. We here in the Old Guard thrive on presentations like this. You made our day for us, and hopefully we can follow up with some greater support for the college. We'll work on that.
Thank
We have
you.
a tradition here at the Old Guard of presenting people who come and share their knowledge with us this certificate, which is a small way of expressing our gratitude for what you've done to enlighten our day today. So on behalf of the Old Guard, we will get a real copy of the certificate to you. And I'm going to step out of line here and say that I'm sure we'd like to have you come back sometime in the future and share more of the progress that you're making at Union County College with us. So on behalf of the Old Guard, thank you very much for a wonderful presentation.
Thank you. An honor for me, folks. Thank you very much. God bless you all. Thank you for giving me this
Bravo.
opportunity. Really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it a lot. Let's
you
rock
guys-
the world. We're going to change the world. We can. And with you guys on our team, we can really make a difference. And I mean it sincerely. I'm going to jump off, go to my next meeting. God bless you all. Thank you.
Wait, Margaret, just to say thank you from the director here. And we will follow up on the mentoring issue and having you back for another thing. So now you can go to your meeting. Thank you so much for your
God bless
time.
you all.